Hi, Alvin DeLeon here, and thanks for tuning in to this 3-minute health tip. Now, in this episode, I'm just going to share a story about a mother who brought her little girl in that was about 8 years old at the time, who was dealing with severe stomach cramping, pain, and diarrhea. She said that her daughter had been dealing with this issue for about almost 2 years, and that prior to bringing her in, she had spent about 3 months in and out of the hospital for sick kids here in Toronto, and that her daughter was diagnosed with severe lactose intolerance. And this was a bit of a surprise to the mother, seeing as her daughter often loved chocolate milk and would often be drinking a glass or two of chocolate milk every day with no problems until she was about 6 years old. And now she would have this like severe cramping, severe pain and diarrhea that would have to happen often in the evening time, just before bed. And so when I first saw her daughter, I started to apply this new health perspective, this idea that everybody that walks in, regardless of the symptoms that they're experiencing at the organ level, that there's a brain involvement going on, and that also there's an emotional conflict shock that triggered the biological program that started everything. And so when I asked the little girl what was going on when you were 6 years old, about a year and a half or 2 years ago, that was unexpected and it made you angry. You see, digestive issues are often tied to a territorial anger or an indigestible morsel conflict, an indigestible anger conflict. And so I asked her, what were you angry about a couple of years ago at 6 years old? Right away, she says, oh, I know what made me angry and upset. I was angry that I was at that time, I remember being at my grandparents' house, watching TV after school, and my grandfather got a phone call that my father just passed away in a car accident. And so it was a real shock, and I was really upset about it. And I thought, oh, wow, that's amazing that she was able to connect that her anger issue was the shock of getting the phone call that her father had passed away a couple of years ago. And so when I would ask her, is there anything that you can think of that reminds you of your dad at night, when your symptoms seem to get worse? And she says, yes, that's exactly when just before bed, I say my prayers, and that's when I miss my dad the most. So you could see here just an illustration of how symptoms such as digestive issues, diarrhea, a diagnosis of like a lactose intolerance can actually be initiated by the conflict shock of losing her father. I remember turning to the mother at that time, this was years ago, and asking the mother, the loss of your spouse must have been a shock for you as well. I'm curious if you got any symptoms because of it. And she looked at me thinking, I never thought of that. I never made the connection. And then as she thought about it, she says, actually many months after that, I remember waking up one day and getting a rash throughout my entire body. And then I told her, I go, do you want to know what conflict theme causes a rash? She said, what is it? I said, it's related to a separation conflict, somebody being torn from your skin. The reason I like these cases is that it illustrates the fact that you have two people that experience the same shocking loss of a spouse and a father, and two very different interpretations. The child interpreted it as an anger that led to her digestive issues. The mother interpreted it as a separation that led to her skin rash. Again, I just wanted to share that with you so that you can continue to use this information to help you in your symptoms. I hope that you continue to go back to some of the old videos and that you continue to share this with people that you think may benefit from it.